Today we're going to continue our geometry unit and we will be working with triangle properties. Yesterday we worked with angles and today we're working with triangles. So on this top part of your triangle properties page, we will discover that there are 3 ways that we can classify triangles by their sides. So the classify means that's how we sort them. So our very first one is called the isosceles triangle. And I tell you, I have to look it up how to spell it all the time. Isosceles triangle. And it has at least 2 sides that have the same length. So if you look over here at our triangles, these are both isosceles triangles. And so some of the markings you will see, well, first off, can you tell me which 2 sides are the same? This one and this one are the same. And we put these little tick marks on there like that. And then this one and this one are the same. And so if you see a triangle with those notations, that means that those 2 sides are congruent, same size. This one is not, so it would have 2 ticks. Okay? The next triangle is the scalene. That's a bad A right there. Scalene triangle. All sides have different lengths. So here's one length, here's another length, and here's a third length. So when we're talking about length, what we're talking about is this part right here to that part to that part. Those are all different lengths. So when we're talking about that, I'll put those tick marks back on there. When we're talking about that, that is what we mean. The length of the sides. And our last one is called the an equilateral triangle. Those are some really bad A's. Okay, and in there that means that the triangle that all 3 sides are the same length. So this is the same length as this one as that one. Okay, so here are our 3 different ways that we can classify triangles by their sides. We're going to classify them by their angles in just a minute. But we want to talk about this really quickly here. So if these 2 sides are the same, that means, just so you have this future knowledge, that the angle opposite is going to be the same. And so that's going to play into some of what we're doing. I'm trying to get my stylus to go really small. So you'll see that you might see that arc happening there. You know what? I don't think I can draw that on there. Well, I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, here our goal is to discover that there are 3 ways we can classify triangles by their angles. Always have to make an effort to write angles and not angels. All right, Elise will probably do it once. Let me know if you find it. I try not to, but I always seem to. So the first way we can do it is by the obtuse triangle. Just like we had an obtuse angle, here we have an obtuse triangle. And that means the measure of one of the angles is greater than 90 degrees. And so right here you see that angle. And so this is why I was saying I can mark it up. This angle right here is greater than 90 degrees. So let me highlight that. We're talking about this angle right there. it is greater than 90 degrees. Now, you might be noticing these two are acute angles, but because there's one angle that is obtuse, it makes it an obtuse triangle. So our next one is the right triangle. Let me fix that. Okay, right triangle. And it has one angle that measures exactly 90 degrees. And so we would see that angle here. So this angle, that and this is thus. This angle right here is the 90-degree part. Now we're going to do the acute. All right, acute triangle. And that all of the angles measure less than 90 degrees. So just like when we're doing angles, that 90 degrees is a real important one. So here you have one that's larger, one that's exactly, and then here they're all smaller than 90 degrees. And so what we're talking about are these angles in here. Those two happen, it happens to be a, what type of triangle? Isosceles. And so those two are the same, but all three are the same. And here we have an equilateral where all those angles are the same because all the sides are the same. So what you're going to start finding is, just like with the angles, we can classify it two ways. We can name it and classify it using both the sides and the angles. Well, I just said it, so hopefully you remember it. So this is our important part today. We need to take this part away. We need to remember this right here. Important. Know this. We can classify triangles by both their sides and their angles. Okay, so that is important. Now, in further days, we're going to discover why all triangles, all the angles will add up to be 180 degrees. We'll be doing an activity with this, I think on Thursday, where we will discover that and prove that all their angles will equal 180 degrees. So think about that can I have more than one obtuse angle in a triangle? So just keep that in your thought. We're going to need to know that, and we will be working with that. So what you have to do now is vocabulary. All right, so now you have vocabulary to do. Up at the front of the classroom on my crates, I have these yellow Math Dictionary for 6th grade books. All of these definitions are in here. Fill it out and learn them. We're going to be dealing with these two a lot, all of these really, and so get some bases and knowledge that you can use. Now, I don't have enough of these things for everybody, so if they're all being used, what you need to do is go on to classwork, but make sure you come back and get that taken care of, and you just have to learn to take your turn and share.